Pow Wow, yo, yippee, yay, guys. This is Pow Wow number 36. Today we're going to dig into the community, then understand what's happening on the markets right now, then deep dive into how does the economy works and how DeFi will replace the fundamental macroeconomics of all the models that have been built as of today. Then talk about the new features of the Wealth app with this awesome widget that we just released, and obviously finish with our CHSB token. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus Fazel. I'm the proud founder and CEO of SwissBorg, always here to serve you with some great news to start and with lovely community. Shout out to our amazing boys that have just got their amazing hats just recently. Friends from the Swiss community. It's really good to have that big, strong guys wearing our hats. Really cool to have the whole team. Thanks for that. SwissBorg and the media. We were just recently at EPFL, which is the main engineering school in Suisse Romandie in Lausanne. They had a lot of people that want to join SwissBorg, a lot of people downloading SwissBorg app. It was really cool. We've done recently a survey, and I don't know how to take this. You know, there was over 900 votes between different platforms, so close to 1,000 votes essentially, and everyone is interested in high interest. I know that crypto goes with building, create awesome returns in a short period of time, but we still have to understand that the more you take risks, the better the performance is, but those risks eventually could fall away. And from my perspective, I think that tailored strategy is really what is the best feature about SwissBorg Guild. But as you guys want higher interest, this is where we're going to put at first, getting sure we're really making highest returns by reducing the risk out of it. So that's what we'll be doing. That was a survey that was built. Then more fun, obviously, as the markets have been rallying extremely well on Saturday. Thanks for all the people participating in this little contest. Shout out to all these cool different gifts that you guys had, and we're doing great on Twitter. So really, if you're not following us on Twitter, you know what to do. This is the Bliss platform where we could shine and grow. Talking about community and awesome people, Dan Held, one of the crypto pioneers at Kraken, will be tomorrow at Crypto Night. Looking really forward to the premiere at 8 GMT like always. He'll be diving into what was Bitcoin in 2013 and what's DeFi happening now in 2020. And it's a really interesting interview that I'm looking forward to watch with you guys tomorrow at 9 p.m. Swiss time. Awesome people. We just had a new recruit, Matthias. It's really good to have him. He is one of those Scala backend engineers, a wizard, wrote some books. He's really, really good at it. You can follow him on Twitter. It's great to have more and more awesome brains building the best systems. He'll be working on the community app and multiple different things regarding the back end very shortly after with the Wealth app too. So super happy to have Matthias. Talking about super awesome people, you guys are, and a lot of different comments like every week. The number one is gonna to be served to the panel, which is to Hudson Feria for taking what would be the right frame. It'll be 1 to 4 months would be ideal of building incentivizing people for the community app, so the crypto challenge. I think so. We look like it's going to maybe happen on 1 month. We had made multiple surveys. We're still not sure about that. But again, thank you so much for that kind messages. Please tweet us or PM us your address. We'll be happy to send you cool goodies. Another amazing people, as you guys know, we have launched on Discord, our channel. If you're not part of it, all communication should go through there. I will not be answering anymore on Telegram, but only by Discord. So please make sure to download Discord, join through this link, SBV87K9. We have a server there, and there's awesome people to meet, such as Joseph, that's from the Netherlands, that's really part of the Discord squad. He's been deploying the server. He's doing a lot of different quests and missions. It's really good to have him. Thank you so much, Joseph, to being part of this. It's really cool to have you. News. big thing happening. Good money getting injected into projects such as Aave, which is good. Though I'm not sure if it's in tokens or in equity. Nevertheless, love Aave, and we really congratulate you for that great raise with blockchain capital and other different blockchain VCs. Metamask, the big competitor to Uniswap. Let's see who's going to win there on these decentralized wallet that will enable to essentially be able to be changing, swapping different ERC20 tokens. Hopefully the gas fee won't be too high. Looking forward to see how this battle is going to be led through these decentralized wallets now and swaps. Other news of the week, Polkadot, which we recently talked to the team, are talking about their parachain. So we had a very interesting meeting a few weeks ago with these guys, and to see, eventually, if there'll be possibility to migrate and have our own parachain. And it's a very interesting way how they really want to capitalize on the fact that infrastructure protocols of blockchain should remain on their chain. So you don't need to essentially do the whole validation and everything. However, what they want to change is a way that governance could be plugged and play into something different, right? And how token holders could have more governance rights that could be plugged from their blockchain into a new game theory that we would put in place. And I think so it's really interesting how they have built it, how there's different frameworks and essentially ways to govern the different chains' decision through these different oracles. And we think it's really interesting. They haven't so far done out of these parachains or IPOs, such as there's definitely an incentive to do that, and you obviously have to hold a fair amount of DOT, because it'll be done through a mechanism, an auction mechanism that lasts up to 2 years, and you'll have to always again win those different auctions. So it's really good for DOT holders. Hard to say if it's going to be economical viable for all the projects that want to go on this parachain. Let's see how things goes. I think so. There is going to be a fair amount of slots though, so we'll see how things goes. But I think so. It's an extremely interesting project because we see that Ethereum has this great protocol. The missing part is that oracle that can enable you to have a real game theory, and this is what they're looking. My hat off to Jack Dorsey, obviously awesome guy. You guys know what happened. He put in 1% of his assets into Bitcoin through one of his companies, which is a great Fintech Square company. So I think that's really cool. Talking about great stuff, the landing page, as you guys have noticed, we launched it recently, and there's a very big amount of interest there. A lot of people that obviously, such as you guys, that have been super users, that have been really part of the community, but a lot of new people, and as well a lot of people that actually are using the Wealth app or are just basically using it. Like they did register, but they really didn't need any exchange. So this really shows that we will have most probably a lot of more active users within the Wealth app as soon as we kickstart this program. So really interested by how this is going to be deployed, and I'm really pumped, and I'm pretty much very confident that you're going to enjoy it as a maximum. So that's really cool. Okay, now let's dig into macroeconomics. Understand the fundamentals of our economy and why DeFi has a real massive use case, and how you, me, us at SwissBorg could not only capitalize on this great investment, but how can we capitalize by changing tomorrow, by really democratizing finance, by really ensuring that we could decentralize finance together. This is very important to understand, right? So traditional banks for a long time have been creating money out of thin air, right? And they're doing that by essentially, especially when the idea of fiat existed, where essentially banks didn't need to peg their currency on gold anymore after Bretton Woods. They just create money out of thin air. They then lend it to essentially different banks, okay? And that's how they make money. That is the banking system. The fundamental banking is how Federal Reserve or Bank National of Switzerland or the ECB whatsoever creates money out of thin air, then lends it to banks, okay? And then these banks increase the money supply by lending to customers, right? They essentially are part of the money market, and they make sure to essentially bring in much more money and create much more money out of what the federal bank has or the national bank has essentially lent to them, right? And then what happens is that under the fractional reserve of banking, banks can lend multiple of the bank's reserve they're obliged to hold, right? Every national bank or every regulator has a certain amount of sum. They have to have maybe 3% of assets, 5%, 10. They need capital requirement and then could lend up to X hundred of leverages on that, okay? Then for each loan, new asset or equal or opposite liability are created, which generates a net interest income for the bank, okay? So what they do is that, let's say they are lended 10 million, then are able to, no, they're borrowing 10 million, they're able maybe to lend 100 million, and they're making interest out of the fact that if they're borrowing at 2% or 1%, they're able to essentially, and right now probably at 10 basis points, they're able to then lend it to, let's say 1%, 2%, 3%. And at the end, under this system, banks sit at the center and are really intermediaries of all the money creation. That's something we have to understand, okay? And that's how they make a fair amount of money. Now let's take a decentralized way, right? There's no centralized authority. There's peer-to-peer agreements in a system that is under different blockchains. And the money creation happens through this protocol of lending, which could be on proof of work, could be on proof of stake, and there's as well different other ways. And as it is a decentralized network, it really enables disintermediation of decentralized applications that are most of the time driven through smart contracts. And the great thing here is that it is really one person lending to another person, and that other person who is borrowing could potentially lend to another person. And instead of doing these with central banks, with then corporate banks, private banks, different other ways of making money, and different intermediaries, brokers whatsoever, we could just have a platform that is one smart contract and two people, or maybe multiple people after. But the great thing is that you are just an intermediary and you're empowering the individual, right? In the feature of the central authority, in traditional finance, it's central banks. They really have the authority. In DeFi, what we see is mainly open source code, right? It's the code that drives essentially the platform. Then who are the intermediaries? And traditional finance is mainly banks and different legacy systems. Here's smart contracts and these different platforms. The money creation is created through lending and central bank, again for traditional finance, where we see in DeFi is done through different platforms. The loans, again, is for banks. Here it becomes peer-to-peer. Now to see how is the borrowing happening, what is the risk, the credit risk whatsoever, we see that in traditional finance it could be highly unsecure, right? We see that with the CDOs in 2008. We see that multiple different times with the Europe crisis. Even countries failing to report their real debts. We're not talking about people, institutions. 8 years ago, when the crisis happened in Europe, Greece, and other countries, let's say the pigs, a lot of these countries had more debt than they actually were allowed to have. And this creates a catastrophic, Europe could have failed. Euro could have failed to collapse to nothing if probably Germany was not in the game. Well, on the great thing on blockchain, first, we have much higher collateral. You always have to pledge much more than you borrow. That's the first thing, okay? Second, it's that it's all transparent. Third, it's done through smart contracts. If your collateral is not high enough, it will get liquidated. So the main risk here is smart contracts, and then as liquidation process to see how liquid your Bitcoins or Ethereum or your stable coins, right? Then something that has to be really interesting here is that accessibility. Accessibility is probably one of the nicest thing you have here, which is that a lot of people can't afford to do lending and borrowing at different terms. First, because their national currency may be, in a very poor position with crazy yields. Second is just that they could be in places where this doesn't even exists. Like, not everyone could have a loan for a house. That's how things are. The great thing of blockchain on these different platforms is that it's permissionless and it's borderless, and anyone around the world could essentially be part of that by just using different crypto. And last but not least, the ability for savers to earn interest is right now extremely low in 2020. It's pretty much zero. Where in 2020 with DeFi, it's a very big amount of money. And here at SwissBorg, that's what we'll be doing for you guys. To put that even further, to make sure you understand the economy of today, is that this was produced by JP Morgan. We see that $31 trillion today, if it's adjusted to the inflation, are in negative yields. So all the people that are actually saving money on interest accounts, they're losing money on a daily basis. And that is your parents, that is yourself, that is everyone pretty much, okay? And less than 50% of sovereign debt today have maturities of over 10 years trade above 0% interest rates. That is crazy, okay? That means that no one is making not money. People are losing money on a daily basis while you're doing that. If you're if you're investing in stocks, if you're investing in crypto, if you're investing in real estate, that's probably okay. You're taking a risk, but most probably on the long run, if you diversify well your portfolio and you're not too emotional about it, you're probably going to make a fair amount of money. But if you're not, you are losing money right now on a daily basis. Well, with us, the answer is that that's not going to happen. We are going to propose higher yields and do that in the best way possible, as you guys know. Now let's talk about a little bit about the protocols of what's happening on the DeFi space. We have 4 different layers. The first layer is Ethereum, right? We've seen different side chains right now with Binance and different other people, but let's say it's Ethereum based, okay? The second layer, or this 0 layer. The first layer of how you build up thing is like platforms such as decentralized stable coins, such as Maker has done that extremely well with DAI. Then you have as well the different platform. You have different other stable coins that will be built in the future, and there's some already. The second layer then is all about these great platforms such as Compound, where it's places, or it could be as well Aave, where you are essentially able to do borrow and lending. Okay, this is really their synthetics. There's a lot of different layers, but these are different applications where you should do borrowing, lending. Then the third layer, which is really a growing one, is always decentralized applications such as Uniswap, where you could essentially start to trade these different assets, right? And there's Kyber Network, which is a great one. There's Chainlink as well that enables you to do cross solutions of how you could get data on the chain and make sure that essentially we're able to do exchange of different underlyings, and we're able to process different information in real time, or we're able to bring something better to liquidity, for example, into the markets like with Kyber. And these are all the different third layers applications that enable DeFi to exist. So it's like essentially, different ways to enhance liquidity. And the last layer is even the next step is really the aggregation. And the aggregation means how all these different liquidity providers could be done on in a better way. But that's the DeFi. The fifth layer is us, SwissBorg. And our smart yield program is exactly that. Because this is okay for maybe 100,000 people around the world. It's not okay for the 7 other billion. And we are not attacking that 7 other billion people, let's play trade, but we are probably able to offer this to at least 2 billion people, because it's just a few clicks you get access to all of that. And not only you get access and get great returns, is that you're really investing in a noble cause of how we can empower ourselves and decentralize wealth management, decentralize finance together in a very community aspect. There's probably a lot of questions happening as how can we do this? What is all the, how do we make sure that this is safe? Well, the great thing is that we're going to have AMA. It's going to happen on November 10th. If you have any questions, obviously, you'll have to ask them live, or you could always tweet us at SB, hashtag SB AMA, and we will be obviously very happy to answer your questions. Anthony, myself, and that lovely Cyborg is going to be there. And next we will talk about as well yield farming and dig into it, how this is processed, how it's going to happen. Markets are going quite well. We have a little correction. Saturday was a big jump. A lot of good news happening on the market. We believe so. Looks like Bitcoin is narrowing between 11 to 12,000, but we're getting on a very positive territory here. New features on the Wealth app. This awesome widget. I'm really happy. I think so. It's really cool to see that. Okay, not right now because there's a lot of red, but to go on your app, on your phone, an iPhone, and have different widgets that you could really tap into and opens your Wealth app. I think so. It's really cool. I'm really happy to see this. If you don't know what it is, first you have to update your iPhone, put the last iOS. Then you have to go into the marketplace of widgets, and then you could put the widgets wherever you want. There's a lot of different things. I think so. This is really cool. It's not going to change your lives, but at least you could get prices, indicators within a few seconds on your phone, which I think is really cool. And there's a lot of different displays, as you guys probably have noticed. Check it out, use it, give us the feedback here in the video. What do you think about it? Stats. We did it! We did it! We're over 50,000, which is really cool. There's definitely a lot of growth here happening with a smart yield. A lot of people getting very interested. More downloads happening, which is great. Close to 35 million assets under management. Volume has picked up a bit, but we could get better, guys. Please make sure in these volatile moments to trade effectively by using the Cyborg indicator and other different indicators. Most features use this so far, 61,000 deposit, which that's a great number of deposits and people depositing, which is great. We have 161,000 exchanges. You guys are fan of portfolio analytics. I mean, this is crazy. We just launched it recently. I'm a big fan. I mean, when I'm in, no discredit to other platforms, but really, it's really hard to understand if we're making performance. I'm on Binance, I'm on different platforms, and obviously I use, SwissBorg 90% of the time, but I've still been using a lot of different platforms. It's really hard to understand where you're making performance, where is the risk base. If you don't have an Excel, it's just you can't do it. And if you have Excel, you have to put all the orders manually. I just think it sucks. I'm glad we have it, and I'm glad you're using it. Asset analysis, obviously I use it on a daily basis as well, which is great. 1.5 million people consulting it. More exchange, more volume, more more as well volatility. So 30% uptick this week. 43 million CHSB stake, which is great. Talking about our lovely CHSB token, let's think 9% change from last week, which is really great. 33% top to the 100. I mean, we need 33% to get to that top 100 again. We really need to get back in there. I think looking at this on a daily basis, we need to be back in the 100. So how are we going to make it? I think so. Ivan is obviously always backing us there. There's new guys that'll be backing us. The new utility guys. If you're super premium, I mean, not only if you're premium, which by the way, guys, great news. All the people that are premium until the super premium, you are automatically be super premium. So which I think so that's something really cool. You guys are gonna have double the performance. The fact of being premium and super premium will do a 2x on essentially the performance of the smart yield. So that is the best way, I think so, to really boost our CHSB token, is to make sure people understand why you need the CHSB token and why you need to be a super premium. So I think so that's the solution for it. 2.4 million volume weekly, that is way too small. We really need to grow there. Hopefully we could get at least to 5-6 million on a weekly basis. We are talking to multiple different exchanges, like always, to get listed. 43 million staked, as you guys know. We have now at the 8th burn 1.5 million CHSB tokens, and we have still others that are waiting to be burnt. Hopefully not too soon, right? We don't want that to happen too soon, but we always make sure that a big portion of our revenues, that means 20% minimum, goes to the Protect and Burn program. I hope, guys, you love this new format. And by the way, I tried to change this up to not be behind the scenes. At least you can see a bit more. With all my heart and all my power, guys, it's always a great thing. I'm looking forward to the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.